English language is a must in the competitive world. The world today has become a universal village with English as the common language. Therefore, it is not necessary that in the competitive world, particularly the younger generation, should be conversant with it. It is unfortunate that since gaining independence successive governments as a vote-catching device promise to give pride of place to the Sinhala language, but in actual fact it led to the deterioration of the English language. It is an urgent necessity to stimulate school children to equip themselves with competent bilingual capacity through a well-planned school curriculum. More English complementary readers should be prescribed in order to introduce a wider vocabulary and constant practice of grammar to our youngsters, gaining a full knowledge of and skill in spelling and pronunciation should be made a must too. The child in his home. The influence of the home on the child is of vital importance. In the first instance, the child spends the first few years of his life at home. All his needs are fulfilled by his parents. He learns to use his body in relation to his needs and environment. He learns the first lessons, the lessons like how to talk, how to eat, how to clean himself, etc., from his parents, and thereby he acquires a vocabulary which helps him to communicate his ideas, thoughts, and wishes to those around him. He moreover learns a great deal of useful things and make rapid progress in mastering environment by the conscious imitation of others. Another important factor which affects the child is the emotional atmosphere of the home. If there is no unity between the parents, naturally the child is apt to become emotionally unstable. Therefore, parents should be more careful to be disciplined in the presence of their children and see good examples for them to follow. Reading. Reading is an interesting hobby that we can get a lot of pleasure through. Reading. Reading takes you to a world of knowledge, wonder, amazement, and into an imaginary world. It teaches us good morals, kindles our imagination, makes us think and realize. Reading also improves language, speech, and helps us to think and write creatively. We are able to organize the facts in our mind and let the pen flow out creative ideas, thus enriching our writing. Our expressions in speaking and writing gets refined. Books are a storehouse of knowledge and gives you a wealth of experience. My favorite books are Famous Five by Enid Blyton and Magic Treehouse by Mary Pope Osborne. I enjoy reading these series. Reading maketh a man. According to this saying, reading polishes, grooms our lives, and puts us on a higher pedestal in society. We are equipped with the ability to face the challenges of the world, thus making us independent. Hence, reading makes a full and complete man. Energy. The world is full of movement. Trees move in the wind. Aircraft fly in the air. Ships sail on the sea. People and animals walk about. None of these things can move without energy. All living things and machines need energy in order to work. Where does energy come from? That all energy comes from the sun. The sun's energy churns gas into other kinds of energy when it reaches Earth. The sun's energy is contained even in coal and oil. Long ago, the sun gave its energy to plants and animals. When they died, their bodies slowly turned into coal and oil over millions of years. Power stations then changed the energy in coal and oil into electrical energy. The power station electricity is made from the energy released by burning coal or oil or by using nuclear fuel. Or water power. Each of these four sources of energy is called a primary source. Electricity is a secondary source because it is produced from a primary source. The dictionary. From about 1500 AD onwards, the English language continued to change and developed enormously. It adopted words from other languages with which people came into contact through trade or travel, and it was exported to other lands when English-speaking people traveled abroad. There are over 50,000 words in the English language, and the total is increasing all the time. Of these, about 3,000 are known and used by almost everyone whose native language is English. Most people know the meaning of at least 0.5000 words, though they may not use all of them in everyday speech or writing. In addition, those who specialize in a particular subject, such as music, chemistry, medicine, and computers, have a wide vocabulary of words that are used by people working in that subject, but are more generally known to others. The biggest dictionary in the world is the Oxford English Dictionary, which fills 20 very large volumes, and .it contains most of these words. Small dictionaries can find out room for only a fraction of the whole language. They include most of the words that are in common use, but in order to make the book a convenient size and not too expensive, they have to miss out a considerable number of words. A good dictionary is an invaluable tool. It gives the spelling, pronunciation, usage, and meaning of thousands of words, definitions, etymologies, synonyms, and antonyms give a clear picture of a word's meaning. Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs were very large reptiles which lived in the world in the past and finally disappeared altogether about 70 million years ago. No one knew anything about them until about 200 years ago. The first dinosaur to be properly described was discovered on a morning in March 1822 in Sussex, England. Dr. Gideon Mantell, a physician in England, was an unusual man, of wide interests. He was also one of that band of amateurs in the Western wood who did so much to found the natural sciences during the 18th and 19th centuries. Was particularly interested in fossil, and for some years had spent his spare hours in the countryside of southern England, searching for the remains of extinct animals. One day Dr. Mantell noticed in a rock an object that looked so unusual, something that had the definite form and the shining surface of a fossil. He later found that it was a fossil tooth. It was a tooth quite different from any fossil that he had seen before, and it aroused his curiosity. So during the following weeks he returned often to the country near where it had been found and discovered a number of fossil bones as well. All of those fossils were unfamiliar to him then. Malnutrition. Malnutrition is usually the result of a combination of inadequate dietary intake and infection. In children, malnutrition was synonymous with growth failure. Malnourished children are shorter and lighter than they should be for their age. Malnutrition has been recognized as a consequence of poverty. It is increasingly clear that it is also a cause. But child malnutrition is not confined to the developing world. Industrialized countries also have worrying effects on the nutritional well-being of children. Half of South Asia's children are malnourished. In Africa, 1 of every 3 children is underweight, and in several countries of the continent, the nutritional status of children is worsening. At its most basic level, malnutrition is a consequence of disease and inadequate dietary intake, but many more social, political, economic, and cultural elements are involved. Beyond the physiological factor, there is, in short, nothing simple about malnutrition except the fact of how vast a toll it is taking. Choosing one's family doctor. We all are mortals and are prone to fall sick at some time or other. One may never get critically ill throughout his life. Some illnesses abate without recourse to medical care, nature being the healer. But there are illnesses that would call for medical intervention. So it happens that the health care provider becomes a necessity in life. It is always best to stick to one doctor to whom the entire responsibility of the health care in the family could be entrusted. We all are mortals and are PRN. Choosing such a family doctor, one should be extremely careful and act with wisdom and foresight. Every patient has a right to know the particulars of his chosen doctor and what credentials he possesses. There are thousands of so-called doctors who are none but quacks. One has to guard against such human vultures. They practice medicine under impressive and fancy nameplates with eye-catching Red Cross. Their whole intention is to fleece the gullible and make easy money. Some are glib communicators who could receive even the educated. Then, one could reasonably pose the question: who is the good and correct doctor and how best to choose him? Adolescence and the elders. Adolescence is the transitory period from childhood to adulthood in terms of sexual and emotional development. It's a turning point in a child's life where so many things happen to him or her all at once. Therefore, it's only natural that he or she has plenty of questions to ask about his or her changing body and feelings. This is where parents and teachers should come in. But since both are uncomfortable with the topic, they tend to gloss over it rather than to confront it head on. The result could be disastrous. Their natural curiosity leads young people to seek information from television, videos, or tabloids, which often casts a lurid sight on sex. Or else they turn to their peers. Unfortunately, what they learn is often distorted or inaccurate. Today, we can no longer turn a blind eye to the dangers children are exposed to. Therefore, it's important that the child pick the right person to seek information. The elders have a responsibility to teach children about the marvels and intricacies of the human body and how it functions. Sex is something sacred. Isn't it a miracle how two people come together and bring forth a new life? This is how young people should be taught to look at it. Sleep. Sleep is a natural phenomenon, but how and when it comes at night depends on our age, health, state of mind, and most importantly, our individual habits. 6 to 8 hours of sleep in a 24-hour day is the normal requirement for an adult. 6 hours of sleep is enough to stop one from feeling tired during the day. About 1 in 20 people doze for more than 0.10 hours or less than 5. Babies need the most sleep. Children require about 0.8 to 10 hours of sleep in a day. The aged can make do with as little as 3 to 4 hours. Overweight people tend to feel sleepy during the day, especially after meals. Hence, they find it difficult to fall asleep at night. Some people may take lime to fall asleep due to their biological pattern, but this should not be taken for granted as an adverse sign as long as the sleep is sound and refreshing. National Heroes Day. National Heroes Day is the day when the country remembers the contributions made to the nation by worthy city fawn a long-time leaders who took part in the independence struggle were considered national heroes, while they continue to be honored others who have made noteworthy contributions to the country and its people in various walks of life, i.e., literature, medicine, music, arts, science, etc., have also been recognized. Every country has a day when it remembers its heroes. Every nation has its own ways of showing how grateful they are to them by honoring these heroes. Our country too has our share of great people, and it will be worthwhile to read out about them and ask our elders if there is something we want to know about them. For national heroes means an indispensable facet of our culture. The planet Earth and peace. Planet Earth is our home, and we all belong to one race, i.e., the human race. But some ignorant people are let in the color of our skin, the language that we speak, and the region we dwell come between us and destroy our peace. Today there is so much of turmoil in this world because we have not learned to accept and respect each O'Hare's ethnic differences, as if the havoc and misery caused natural disasters such as earthquakes, famines, floods, and cyclones are not enough. We wage war with others sometimes over very trivial issues. Such foolish actions only bring in more violence and destruction. Peace and harmony have become illusions in the world. Despite all this, we should not fold up and say we are just a minor force in the world and we cannot contribute to world peace. We can all strive for it and start by fostering peace and harmony in our motherland, which is torn apart by the lack of it. Sleep. Sleep is a natural phenomenon, but how and when it comes at night depends on our age, health, state of mind, and most importantly, our individual habits. 6 to 8 hours of sleep in a 24-hour day is the normal requirement for an adult. 6 hours of sleep is enough to stop one from feeling tired during the day. About 1 in 20 people doze for more than 10 hours, or less than 5. Babies need the most sleep. Children require about 8 to 10 hours of sleep in a day. The aged can make do with as little as 3 to 4 hours. Overweight people tend to feel sleepy during the day, especially after meals, hence they find it difficult to fall asleep at night. Some people may take lime to fall asleep due to their biological pattern, but this should not be taken for granted as an adverse sign as long as the sleep is sound and refreshing. A new health policy. Building hospitals is a requirement to keep the nation healthy, but people fall ill as a result of habitual drinking and smoking regularly. Hospitals cannot be constructed throughout the country at the same speed. Therefore, the masses should be educated on their primary health habits. Thus, the government needs a new health policy adopting adequate measures to prevent diseases. This needs several reforms in the health sector. A campaign should be set afloat to develop healthy lifestyles of people with the participation of schools, mass media, and voluntary organizations. Drugs, alcohol, and smoking should be eradicated. Let us protect the endangered beings. Many of the animals and plants, including a variety of insects all over the world, are in danger of extinction. Man is the prime cause. For this, the growth of human population has been a great threat to these animals and plants. As the number of people are increasing, more land is needed for their dwellings. This means destruction of forests, which are natural habitats of different kinds of rare beings. Hundreds of insect species, including some of the most attractive butterflies, are in the brink of extinction. Birds are poisoned, shot, or their eggs stolen by man. Animals from the tiniest land mammal to the huge ocean whale are also in danger. They will become extinct unless they are protected. As a first step to protect wildlife, nature reserves should not be established, and every possible effort should be taken to protect the most endangered species and their habitats soon.